Yo, we're back in the studio. Today I'm going to be talking about embroidering on the back of a hat using the 8-in-1 arc hoop, and also I'm going to show a little bit of digitization so you can see how I put the file together. So without further delay, let's get right into it. To get this done, we're going to need this 8-in-1 hoop with the arc. So I already have this set up here. We're going to use some water-soluble stabilizer because we're going to be embroidering on the mesh. And then I have a bunch of clips because without this, your fabric's going to move and you're going to have registration issues. So you're going to need as many clips as you can get. And then another bonus is I got this torqued Allen wrench thing, and this has been amazing because it helps me change the hoops in like record time compared to before. So we're gonna get to the embroidery machine. I'm gonna show you how fast I can get the cap driver off to put this one on, because to go back and forth between the two hoops, it can get very annoying. So I found that this little add-on, this is like 10 bucks from Amazon, has saved so much of my time. So if you're looking for this, just go on Amazon, look up like Allen wrench with adjustable hex or something like that. I'll leave a link here, or I'll put a screenshot on the screen, but yeah, this has changed the game for me. So let's go to the embroidery machine and get the cap driver off. I've actually been waiting to make a video with this because this thing has really changed how fast you can get this done. All right, so we're gonna get this off. This is gonna take a fraction of the time that it used to take. And I also barely cut my fingers now. All right, so first we're just gonna get this off. That seems pretty loose now. I should move this to 10. It's kind of in the way in the middle. So we're gonna just get this off real quick. Cool. And then we're gonna change the hex bolt. It comes with a set like this. So we're gonna change it to 4 because that is what the arms are set to. So we're gonna get, you don't have to like take off all the screws, you just gotta like loosen it up. And these go on the most common one where you have that marking on it. So if you're not sure which one I'm talking about, it's the second one from the middle on both sides. And yeah, this has just been really good using this this little wrench, because before the other wrench will take forever and I got really frustrated wanting to use it. But this way I can get it done real quick. The arms are attached in like 20 seconds maybe. Not sure how long it's been so far, but next we got the hoop. So before I put this on, I'm gonna calibrate the machine, and I'm just gonna pick a hoop that is big enough. So I usually just pick the hoop D, which is 6.5 by 6.5. And I know that you can set your own parameters, but I'm lazy and this works for me. So I kind of just went with this solution and it does just fine. So I'm gonna pick the artwork, and then we're gonna bring this hoop out quite a bit. We're gonna put this guy right here. I know you're supposed to be using the sticky stabilizer, but I don't have any. And I like using black on black mesh. So we're just gonna tape this on to the surface of the hoop. And it seems to work just fine. Just gonna make sure that it's very tight. Like make sure there's no slack on each sides. So I have this like reusable tape. It's just like masking tape or something, but essentially I just use it to hold the corners like this. And you can see that it's moving, so I have to fix that other side. But you just want to pull it straight, make sure it's like very tight and there's no pull in the middle, because everything has to be nice and tight for embroidery or else things just don't work out really well. So we're gonna hold that taut. It looks good to me. And then I got this hat that I embroidered earlier, but we're gonna hit the back now. So we're gonna unstrap the back and then gently place it here. Now we're gonna get those clips that we had from before. And you want to just make sure that everything is tight. So the first clamp doesn't really matter, but the second clamp, when you're pulling the other side, make sure this is really tight. Because if this isn't tight, you're gonna have a bad time. So that's tight. And when you're strapping this all down, make sure that the stabilizer is also getting pulled so that it's nice and tight. Because if it's not, like I said, things are not gonna come out good and you can possibly ruin your hat. And that sucks, especially at this point of production, because you already got like a good 3D embroidery on the front and then you mess it up with, a bad back embroidery. Like we don't wanna do that. The key thing is like these two surfaces feel tight, and you're kind of like working around the need to use sticky stabilizer. I do think the sticky stabilizer works better, but I tried using the spray adhesive and the residue was like low-key kind of messy, so I don't know. I just did it this way. I probably made like 20 hats like this and it's been fine. So we're just gonna roll with it and keep it going. But this is what it looks like. Nice and centered, and we're gonna embroider an arc right here. The text is gonna say City of Dreams, and I sized it to be around 3.2 inches wide. And the way I did that was I measured it beforehand on a flat hat, and then I just put it into Chroma and then got that done. So we got this loaded up, it's nice and tight. We're gonna trace it, so trace design. It's gonna move to the first needle, do its thing. And I found that for mesh, it's good to use the water soluble stabilizer. So I got this right here, this plastic bag looking thing. We're gonna set the thread color to white, which is number 2. Set to white. Then we're gonna place this nicely right here. And then I have the speed at 630. Probably go a little bit faster, but it's all good, we're not in a rush. So we're just gonna push start. And I like to just hold this down for a moment. And then we just let it go. All right, that took about 5 to 6 minutes. So we're gonna pop this open and then we're gonna clean it up over here. All right, we're gonna clean this up. And if y'all have been enjoying the videos I've been making, please give me a thumbs up or whatever, comment something that you learned so that I can keep on making videos like this, because sometimes I run out of ideas, and that's why it always helps to have some input. So if y'all wanna contribute, please do, because I do appreciate all of y'all. But here it is, you can just rip this off because that's what it's for. Then we can also rip this off. This is a tearaway. As y'all can see, there's a lot of endpoints here, and that's because I just started digitizing, so I'm not the best at it. And if I had someone else do this, I'll probably have like an entire piece that runs from D to the S, and then probably Y to the C. But again, I'm still new, so you're gonna see in the file later, but I have an endpoint at every single stitch, and that's why it looks like a garden of weeds right here. So it's a little annoying, but I just wanted to do this on my own so I can show that I know how to do this. At least like in a time of a pinch, if I have to digitize myself, like I figured it out. And this looks pretty good, nice and centered. Whenever I get rid of threads, I just put the trash can right where the item is, so I don't have to like collect the threads or anything. And I like these scissors because it's not that sharp, so you can't mess up your garment unless you're fully on the wrong spot, or if you're like cutting through mesh accidentally. So just make sure that you're not cutting the wrong spots, because you could mess up your hat. And then we're gonna burn the rest of the tips with the lighter to make sure that it looks as clean as we can get it. Disappear, just gonna clean it up a ton. That was a little hot, okay. And then because we did use that water soluble stabilizer, I'm gonna spray it with some water. Yeah, we don't need that much, just gotta spray it to dissolve it. And then we're gonna let it dry on the side. So it dried up, got the back done, got the side hit, and then I just actually hit it with the heat gun. So the front also looks good. So if y'all wanna pick this up, I do sell this hat on my site. I'll leave the link in the description box below. But yeah, this is the LA hat collab with my guy, Gearless Yer, super dope designer from Mexico. So yeah, if you wanna check this out, check out my site, and then we're gonna go to Chroma and I'll show you all the file. As I mentioned earlier, we're gonna hop into Chroma, but I'm not an expert at this in any way. I'm still a beginner at digitization, so just keep that in mind when you see me do this. I just wanna show you the basics so that you understand that even if you're just starting off, like there is hope, you can figure this out. And as you saw, I got this done using Chroma, like I did this myself. So even though I am a beginner, there is proof that it can work. So yeah, with that being said, let's go into Chroma, and I'm gonna show you all how I got this set up. So we got Chroma open, and you see there's a picture of the hat. So this is really important because this is how you're gonna know how big to make your text, how to arc it, and all this stuff, because without the actual reference, you're just kind of eyeballing it. So I took a picture of this with the hat on the hoop, so that way when I embroider it, there's no surprises. This is exactly how it's gonna come out. So you can see here, I got the picture here. Let's click on the text, and then I used text that was my own font. So I believe that's called True Type. So let's just try and recreate this. So I'm gonna go City of dreams, apply. Then we got the text here. Actually, I don't think I did all caps. All right, cool, that looks closer. So we're gonna try and size this so that it's close to the mock-up. And whatever sizing that you want, I would recommend using a tape measure first to measure it. I always say, carry one of these, measure it out, and then you're gonna know what size you wanna do. So with this hat, I know that it's about 3.1, and I think it's a pretty good size. It's perfect in my opinion. Like maybe some people want it bigger, some people want it smaller. So if you wanna copy it, go ahead. 3.15 is what I did, but I always advise to measure your own garments because every blank's different. So now that we have this in the file, you can see that I have the ruler enabled as well. Okay, so we're gonna change the view here. We're gonna change it to scale. I'm gonna center it. It tells you at the top left of the screen how big the artwork is. So this is 4.76, so that's obviously pretty big. So let's shrink this a little bit more. That looks about the right size, 3.46. And remember, this hat might not be the correct scale because there's no scale in this picture. And that's why it's good to have a ruler in the photo, because if you have a ruler in the photo that goes horizontal, you can tell how big the artwork's supposed to be. So I'll highly recommend you to do that. That's what I will probably do next time, but because I already knew the width of my artwork, I didn't do it that way. But this is a good way to ensure you know the scale of this picture, because right now, this photo has no exact measurement, if that makes sense. There's no scale of how big this hat is. So even if I make this artwork and it tells me 3.34, this might not necessarily reflect what the true 3.34 looks like. So I hope that makes sense. If not, leave a comment and I can explain a little bit more about what I mean by scaled mockups and scaled measurements. So this looks pretty good. I'm just gonna leave it here for the sake of the tutorial, but we're gonna push T, and the T brings up this special menu. And then we're gonna go to type, circle, and then now it's on a circle. So we're gonna push T again, and then T allows us to adjust the arc, the size, and the width and all that stuff. So we're gonna try and match the shape of this arc with the text tool. So that looks closer. And then we're gonna push this one up here, selection tool. And then now that we got the arc right, we're just gonna bring this up. Oops, that flipped over. Just gonna bring this here. And that looks pretty good to me. It looks like the same kind of arc, the same kind of aesthetic. And what we're gonna do next is gonna be the part where we have to tell the embroidery machine how to embroider this. So we're gonna go back to the text layer. So I got the text layer here. And for stuff like this, where the text is very close, you wanna give it some pull compensation. So what I'm gonna do here is at the pull comp, I'm gonna go to percentage, and then I'm gonna set this to 130. I think that's what I did it at. And you're gonna notice that it's gonna get thicker. So before, it's gonna look like that. But if I apply the pull comp at 130, you're gonna see that it thickens up. And this is different from density because I realized that I was doing this incorrectly by increasing the density to give it that thick look. But what happens when you increase the density is you're just increasing the number of stitches instead of allowing the machine to have this pull compensation. That this is just my mind like trying to explain it into words that make sense to you, but it's basically trying to compensate for the tugging between the thread and the letters, because once you embroider in a spot and then you have another embroidery, it's gonna wanna pull from each other or pull towards each other. So that is what the pull comp is supposed to be doing. I went with 130 because I watched the Ricoma video and they said use 140. And because my letters were pretty like small but not tiny, I know that the tiny letters, they want to bump up the pull comp a little bit higher. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if it's percentage or absolute, so I'm gonna put the correct answer on the screen right here once I rewatch the Ricoma video. But they have a lot of great videos, which is like one of the main reasons why Ricoma has been really good, is because before I got this machine, I watched videos almost like every day for a month straight. And that's how much time it took me to understand like how to do this, because it's very foreign. Like there's no way to naturally know how to use this machine. So you have to really study and put time into it. But now that I did put time into it and now I'm making stuff, I'm like, thank goodness I put that extra effort into it. And I advise you to do the same, because this is a very different kind of craft. Like the machine is a very small part of the equation in this whole thing. The machine just does what you tell it to do, but you have to be the one that drives the machine. Tell it how to embroider, what stabilizers to use. Like, you are the one that has to figure that out. So that's why it's really important that you have this information. So if you're new, like, I advise you to just start studying, watch a bunch of videos. There's so many videos on YouTube from Ricoma, from other creators. So yeah, go out there, watch some videos. But this is the settings that I believe I used. I used 130 or 140-ish for the percentage on the pull comp. And I kept it as a satin stitch because satin looks better for this kind of stuff. Obviously, it's not a fill stitch. And I think I might have lowered the density to 0.3. Then I went to the underlay. So because the letters are small, I don't need like crazy parallel or contour. I believe I just put a center line stitch. And then that also reduces the number of stitch counts. So you can see that went from 4388 to 4301. And then another thing that I did was I put the end command as trim, so that at the end of every letter, it trims so that you don't get any run stitches. And then I believe that was it. This is how I got City of Dreams in the back of my hat. Obviously, I'm not the best at this, and I appreciate that you're watching this, learning this with me, because I am a beginner and we all start somewhere, but you know, that's just how it goes, and I'm excited to continue on this journey. I don't know if Inspire is the right one for me. I feel like the higher tiers of the program do have more options, so maybe that's something that I'll look into invest next, because Inspire does feel a little bit limiting, especially just looking at some of the other software out there. It just kind of seems like Inspire is good just for like the basics, but if you want to do more, you kind of need a higher, more robust program. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, at least I can make stuff with it. Like, I wouldn't have been able to create this hat without Inspire. So I'm not saying that it doesn't do what I needed to do, but it does feel like it's missing a bunch of features compared to when I watched a tutorial from Ricoma. They always use all these other tools, and I'm like, that seems like it makes life a lot easier. So something that I'm gonna look into in the future. But if y'all enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, comment something so I know you're alive, and just let me know what you want to see next, because I have a lot of ideas, but I also would like to hear your ideas, and I just always want to make sure that whatever I create does provide value. So just let me know, and then I'll catch y'all next time.